From advertising and selling consoles that may or may not even exist, to claiming to have made the world's first AI-powered video game console, this is the wild and convoluted story of a gaming company known by a couple of different names, but most notably Envisions Computer Entertainment Corporations, and their CEO Derek Samuels, an entrepreneur and visionary that rivals Zachary Kaplan of Dreamworld. This story begins on the 10th of August 2004, when a new company decided to enter the home video game console market. By this point, Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo were basically already the top dogs, so how was a small indie company going to compete with them? Simple, really. They were going to create the first hybrid video game console, one that could double as not just a gaming system, but also as a computer. Truly revolutionary. There were also mentions of other business ventures, such as a smart pen and digital checkbook balancer, but besides this statement, there isn't really any proof that either of these existed. This article, written in 2005, also mentions another console, the EVO Trinity HD3, which would have been their first console release sometime in October of 2005. But again, there isn't much proof that this ever existed beyond this statement. Regardless, this same article mentioned Envision's next revolutionary console, the Evo Phase 1, which was set to release sometime in 2006 for a retail price of $580. A little on the expensive side, sure, but for something that claimed to have a customized liquid cooling system, digital video recording features, and the ability to stream games wirelessly with a catalog of over 1,600 games, discounted by the way, I would say the price is justified. It's also worth to note that the liquid cooling system was to be provided by a company known as Convoluted Systems, and it's because of this little partnership that Envisions would announce that they would appear at E3 at the Convoluted Systems booth. However, no definitive proof of this appearance would exist, and even EnGeniux stated in an article that they seem to have flown under the radar. Maybe they were just stuck in traffic, who knows. And before we continue, I'm going to mention something important, as it will come back later. Alongside the announcement of the EVO Phase 1 came another announcement of their very own flagship game titled Kid Destiny Adventures in Dreamland, the plot of which revolved around a boy who dreams of being a superhero until one day his wish is granted. Pretty amazing stuff, honestly, and with the power of the console, we could probably get a decent game here. Well, the game didn't release until 2012 for PC, selling at a modest price of just $1 whole, and with what seems to be the only gameplay video on YouTube uploaded in 2018, we can take a look at what this game actually ended up looking like. That's right, a 2D platformer that could have probably been made better on scratch. Truly revolutionary. Fun fact actually, you can still buy the game as it is still selling for just $1 measly, though I'm not too sure what'll happen if you go through the process of purchasing it. For all I know, they might just put the dollar through a paper shredder, so I won't link it in the description, but it is in the description of the gameplay video if you're really that curious. Anyways, keep this game and video in mind as we continue forward. An official release date of October 20, 2006 would soon be announced. Happy late birthday, by the way. And so marketing was underway. Just look at this amazing high quality poster that was plastered around MySpace at the time. Truly Y2K-esque. But to probably nobody's surprise, the console never existed, or at least not in any meaningful capacity. A quick Google search will bring up anything but a game console, and even when you get more specific, all you find are articles, but none of them are reviews or unboxings. By this point, they were being compared with the likes of the Phantom console, another infamous vaporware console that never saw the light of day simply because it never actually existed. Of course though, CEO Samuels insisted that it was in fact real, which if we take him at his word, means that I guess nobody just bought one. They weren't going to give up, however. In 2008, they announced their newly revamped and next generation console, the EVO Smart Console. This was their magnum opus, what was going to rival Microsoft and Sony. I mean, just look at their amazing commercial in a whopping 3 pixels.
EVO SD game card. And it does this.
Here's a quick little image of the console. The keyboard and mouse was included as this was supposed to, again, double up as a PC and console. The EVO was to be a Linux-based system, meaning users can go in and modify or upgrade the software if they so please, which would retail at $380 or $480 if you wanted a version with Windows installed. For context, the PlayStation 3 retailed at $400 around that time. Games were to be sold in packages on small microSD cards as opposed to this costing around $20 each. And the console also came included with a biometric fingerprint scanner and voice recognition and control, truly living in the future. What may surprise many of you though is that this console did actually exist and seemed to have been released around 2009 in a very small capacity. In fact, the CEO himself said that although they had over 100 ready in stock, they only sold about 10. And although the estimated sales figures ranges from 50 to the low hundreds, I'd be more inclined to believe that they never sold anything past 10, as this console was basically a ghost for the longest time. Sure, there were a couple of gameplay comparisons and unboxing videos floating around YouTube at the time. It wasn't until 2020 that we get an actual in-depth video on the console. A man named Marco, alongside these Italian gentlemen, put together a video that would talk about the Evo and showcase it in all its glory. Keep Marco in mind, by the way, as he will come back later. In this video, we can see that the EVO Smart Console was basically just a mid-end PC shaped like a Blu-ray player. Here's the boot up screen and homepage. I mean, I really don't know what I was expecting. It's literally just a PC running Mirror's Evolution X on open source hardware. I'll hand it to them though, it seems that they at least delivered on that PC/console hybrid promise, though it's not like PC gaming was unheard of at the time either way. We even get to see my boys play some Kid Destiny, some Happy Feet 3, and a little bit of Mario Kart for the Atari 2600. Anyways, alongside the Smart Console, the second half of this video talked about Envisions' next console, the Game Box, later renamed to EVO 2DX, standing for Deluxe. In 2011, Envisions announced that they were creating an Android-based gaming console that would support gesture-controlled gaming alongside community voting as to what the system would have next. What is a little confusing is that in this little paragraph, they mentioned it would cost $130 for a base unit and the remote, but $160 for a remote and controller. What's the difference? I'm not sure, honestly, I'm still stuck in the past. There was also a mini version, the EVO 2 Pocket DX, which was basically just a mini tablet. They also announced in this little newsletter that they had created a social media microblogging platform called Quip, which we actually know probably either never existed or shut down pretty soon, as in 2014, CEO Samuel started a Kickstarter for his own Uno-like card game also called Quip, with the highest reward not only paying for the entire campaign alone, but also allowing you the opportunity to play with the man himself and I guess just chill at his house for the day, travel not included. We also have here an early concept of what was supposed to be the DX's home screen, truly a product of its time. But if we take a step back to that Kid Destiny gameplay video from earlier, we learn the true fate that this console suffered. In the video's description, it reads that the console never saw a true release, with only 3 prototypes ever actually being sold or given to anybody. This claim is also somewhat backed up by our Italian friend Marco, who in an article commented that he received the beta DX after pre-ordering it and just asking CEO Samuels for it, despite them claiming it was not yet ready. They soon revealed they canceled development because a similar console was announced earlier that same year, another infamous Android shipbox, the Ouya. But either way, we at least are able to see what this console was in its earliest stage. The console itself practically looks the same as the EVO Smart Console, not so much differentiation there. They also apparently included a manual on how to set it all up, presumably because this was still a prototype. And we can immediately see here that again, it's quite literally nothing more than just a PC. At least the home screen was different, though this time it just looks like a MacBook. They also took that Android gaming to heart, as all the games were quite literally just games made for Android, but instead of blown up to a computer monitor. I know I shouldn't have expected more, but I thought they'd at least have the decency to have games with landscape screens. And even when they are landscape, they're all just PC games. They basically just built a PC that can emulate Android games and nothing more. But hey, at least I get to play Bomberman Mario Edition in its intended 480p resolution. Either way, the console was cancelled, and although one reason was the Ouya's announcement, another reason was because CEO Samuels had been brewing up his biggest idea yet for the past 3 years. This is about where the story goes completely off the fucking rails, so brace yourself. Firstly, they were no longer known as Envisions. They instead rebranded into EnGeniux, coincidentally similar to Engadget. They then announced the world's first autonomous game console, or in other words, the world's first AI-powered game console named the Oton, pretty much short for autonomous. What does that even mean? Well, it's simple really. It means that their console could quite literally be able to create its own games infinitely with absolutely no human programming whatsoever. The games would also be completely free to both produce and play, truly living in the future. Of course, in this stage it was still a concept, and in order to raise the funds needed for this console and software, they began an Indiegogo campaign asking for a modest $750,000. And who wouldn't want to donate? I mean, come on, for $10,000 you can have dinner with the Oton team, hotel and travel not included. To everybody's surprise, the campaign raised a total of $1,099 from just 17 backers, a little short of their goal. By the way, they did actually get to keep this money thanks to the power of flexible Indiegogo goals. After this failure, they sent out a letter to all the backers telling them to go fuck themselves for not donating it. No, I'm just kidding, but they did state that they were still dedicated to turning this idea into a reality, and that the new plan would be for the console to retail at $180 with premium game creation costing about $5, most likely monthly. A couple of months later, CEO Samuels would launch another Indiegogo campaign, this time for the Oton Air. In this interview here, he said that the Air would scan your environment to turn it into a game world, I guess.
What it does is Oton Air hovers above the user's shoulder or in proximity of the person, and it scans the environment and captures it. And what the Oton algorithm does, it creates levels and lays those levels on top of the environment.
Basically imagine VR, but instead of in another world, it's just in your living room. The trailer also made it look like you'd be able to connect your phone with Bluetooth and basically just use it as a projector. The campaign also had so many buzzwords that it just rattled my brain. The next next generation of PC, gaming, and multimedia autonomous ubiquitous computing devices for the 21st century. What the fuck am I even reading? Anyways, the campaign asked for $25,000. Quite a step down, but either way, it only raised about $45 in total from 8 backers. Or should I say 2 backers, because if you scroll down the rewards, you'll see that they were apparently giving away 5 free units for the low price of just $1. And it seems that only 2 backers actually paid for any other tier, which altogether would come out to be $20. So I'm not sure where those other $25 came from. They did keep this money too, by the way. Something I found quite funny is that for $6,250, you could get a total of 25 air units. They basically wanted you to either sell them in your stores or I guess hoard them for whatever reason. And although going 0-2 against crowdfunding campaigns would demotivate almost anyone else, it wouldn't stop EnGeniux. Of course not, they weren't strangers to failures after all. And a little while later in 2016, the OTON Console came back, this time as the Oton X. Sorry Air, but you're gonna have to just sit back for a while. At this point, they claimed that the core of the software was complete and they had actually created what they set out to do, with their tests showing that they were able to create 28,800 fully functioning game levels in just 24 hours. Remarkable. This time around, in order to raise funds needed to mass produce the console and upgrade the software, they opted in to use Kickstarter to crowdfund, probably because of all the success stories going around at the time, with again a goal of $25,000. Quite on the low end if I have to say so myself, but they do state in their campaign that their true stretch goal was $150,000. Still on the low side, but I'll let it slide. But let me tell you guys, this campaign was truly a goddamn headache. Firstly, they stated that the price of the console would be under $500. Not a specific price, but alright. But if you scroll down a bit, you'll find this little comparison chart comparing against an unnamed traditional console, and you see that they list the price at $280. Not sure why they didn't just say that earlier, but okay, not that bad. But literally scroll right under that and they list the price at a donation of $300, but a retail of $499. But you can also get it for a donation price of $400. Oh my lord, which one is it? Make up your goddamn mind. They're also offering that subscription tier I mentioned a second ago, but in order to get anything past the basic tier, you need to donate at least $550. Let's also go back to that little comparison chart, because not only is it stupid as they're only using things they claim to have to compare as opposed to what is considered the standard, but it's also stupid because they contradict themselves. They listed privacy as one of the things they have but the other consoles don't. But if you scroll down a bit, you see this little chart detailing what the console has and it doesn't have yet. And one of the things they don't even have is the ability to create user accounts. So where's the privacy? Where's the security? Is the security the fact that this is so useless not even a burglar will want to steal it? They then say you can resell Oton games despite their own trailer saying all created Oton games would be free.
The games Oton create are 100% free.
And this one here is absolutely egregious. Unlimited storage, they say. Well, that's quite literally impossible. So how much storage does this actually have? Well, the Kickstarter doesn't tell you outright. But if you go on their website that is already dead by now, you can see on their specifications page that the actual storage of the device was only 32 gigs. $280 probably. And you only get 32 gigs of storage. There's a technical reason as to why they claimed unlimited storage, but I'll get into that in a second. Anyways, as confusing as this all is, they actually did have something to actually showcase here. There was a real prototype allowing us to visualize this autonomous console with our own 2 eyes. So once you boot up the console, new exciting game levels would be instantly created on your home screen. And if you wanted to create a game yourself, you'd first press create game, then you go through this little survey asking you what you want your game to be like and its objective, and then the game would be created. What in the actual fuck is this? It's literally just Kid Destiny, but with a different design. One of the characters you could pick from was Kid Destiny's protagonist, by the way. But this is all the console could create. These simply made generic 2D platformers that all pretty much have the same objectives, with the only difference being the enemies spawning in at different intervals, or the platforms being randomly generated. Hell, the enemies aren't even walking straight. They're just infinitely stuck doing the moonwalk. In their trailer, they showed off all these cool games you could theoretically make with their system, but it's pretty clear that these were all just concepts. I mean, they said so in their trailer.
Currently, this version of Oton only supports 2D platform game creation.
But here's also where that infinite storage comes to play. So if you get tired of all these jam-packed games, you could click this little refresh button that'll delete all those levels and create new ones. So basically, it's 0 +1 -1 +1, -1, +1 over and over and over again, and theoretically you'll never run out of storage, so it is technically infinite. Absolutely game changing. Anyways, I'm sure you've already guessed, but this Kickstarter was another flop, raising a total of $7,588 from 35 backers, with the highest reward again giving you 10 Oton X units, 10 controllers, 10 keyboard and mouse combos. Like, who needs that much? Though I'm pretty sure these backers at least got their money back, thankfully. From this point on, the story begins to actually slow down quite a bit. In that same interview from earlier, CEO Samuels was asked if he could explain what another one of his projects, the Oton Grid, was, to which he responded, no. And then he went on to talk about the air fryer.
What is the Oton Grid?
Oh, the Oton Grid. The Oton Grid is amazing. I can't explain it, but what I did do today, I brought a clip with me for a very special project that we've been working on, what we call the birthday present.
They also announced a multitude of other projects like the Oton Infinity, which is basically the exact same thing as everything else, but I guess this time they just solely focus on being a PC. And even to this day, the website is still up, but of course they list the Infinity as coming soon, probably never. They also announced the Oton HP desktop. Obviously it's not called that, it just looks like that, but again, this was another crowdfunding campaign. But I guess CEO Samuels was tired after going 0-4 that he decided to do a private crowdfund. On their dead website, you can see here that they're asking people to sign up so they could get invited to the private funding. They also had other projects such as the Oton Infinity VR add-on, the Oton bracelet, the Oton wristband, the Oton fucking glasses. I don't even know anymore, man. The reason I can't dive deeper into any of these is because there's not much beyond the name and a little paragraph on what they were supposed to do. But of course, all of that was just complete nonsense and wishful thinking more than anything. We also have this little backstory about the creation of Kid Destiny, which I can't help but bring up because it makes me feel like this man, Derek Samuels, was never trying to scam anyone or anything. He just had dreams and visions of what could have been and promised them before the technology or even he himself was ready for it. His LinkedIn still has him listed as the CEO and founder of EnGeniux, so maybe he's still working on it? I'm not sure. I mean, with the advancements in AI lately, maybe someday his vision will get to see the light of day. Whether that be from him or another company with more money, we'll have to see. Maybe he can collaborate with Quebbleflop, who knows? After first reading about this story, I couldn't help but make a video on it, as it doesn't seem many other people have. Like the video if I did a good job, comment down below, subscribe, I don't know, just don't forget about me. Anyways, I'll link my socials as well as the YouTube videos I used and the Reddit posts I first heard this story from in the description down below. Feel free to check them out. I've been a Rogue AI, you've been watching a computer screen, and ciao ciao.